the woman who gave birth to Sasquatch. For centuries, the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest have harbored whispers of creatures that straddle the line between myth and reality. The Sasquatch, a beast both feared and revered, has been etched into the folklore of the Chehalis people. But among the tales of this elusive being, one story stands out, a tale as haunting as the mountain's winds and as enigmatic as the creature itself. This is the story of Sarapen Long, the woman who claimed to have been taken by the Sasquatch and gave birth to its child.
This is what we've been dealing with the whole way up in this area. These trees just everywhere, just snapped in half. All like this as well. It's pretty high up. There's a ledge down there, so oh wow, that's like, it's almost 10 feet up from the bank. If you go down the bank there, be 10 feet up. But yeah, that's what we're what? It's just that tree break I was gonna film.
The Chehalis people have long spoken of their encounters with the Sasquatch. To them, these creatures were not mere legends, but neighbours, enigmatic and dangerous. Forced to retreat into Mount Morris by human expansion, the Sasquatch would emerge at night, their fires glowing like spectral lanterns on the mountainside, as if mourning their lost lands.
Our ancestors knew the Sasquatch well. They were strong, clever, and not entirely unfriendly, but they could be unpredictable. The mountain became their sanctuary, and we learned to respect their boundaries. But sometimes their kind came down among us.
Do it with like a chisel.
Why don't you use the axe?
Oh, did you see that? The butterfly was on there.
Sarapen's abduction. In the summer of 1871, Sarapen Long, just 17 years old, was snatched from her village by a towering figure she described as a Sasquatch. Blindfolded with pine pitch, she was carried deep into the woods, beyond where any human had dared to tread. Cut to a dimly lit cave where Sarapen sits, frightened but unharmed, surrounded by shadowy figures that seem almost human. Sarapen claimed her captor brought her to a cave where an elderly male and female Sasquatch resided, figures she assumed were its parents. Though frightened, she later recounted that her captor was surprisingly gentle, even protective. For a year, Sarapen lived as a captive in the wilderness, forging a bond with her captor, a relationship she described as strange but mutual. Yet her health began to fail. She grew weaker with each passing day, her body unsuited to the rugged existence of the Sasquatch. As her health declined, Seraphine discovered she was carrying the child of her captor. The isolation and her physical condition took their toll, and Seraphine feared she might not survive.
Just out here taking a little break, basking in the sun. Oh, cooking up some lunch. There's Nala. This chicken a flipping. Yeah. Dares me to lick my fingers now. Just did it. Will I get salmonella? Probably not. I think you actually have to chew it up, don't you? Piece of flesh. Or can you get salmonella just from touching it and licking your fingers? Anybody knows? Comment below. I just flew the drone way up into that mountain you see there. And then the battery died, so I had to come back. I really want to test this phone. See the quality. It's not too bad if you hold it still, but it's the stabilization. Like when you turn it like this, it just can't focus.
Oh, really? These are the settings?
No, just it's like an iPhone 7 or something. Just the filming wasn't that great back then. We're in a perfect location for bears. We're just at a south-facing mountain. We haven't seen any bears at lower elevations. So we're assuming they're still up here in the mountains, just creeping out of their dens. I always look for south-facing mountains, skunk cabbage, nice patches of green grass. Sometimes this time of year they might just come out of their den, eat some grass and stuff and bask in the sun for a while, and then they might go back into their dens. They kind of do that this time of year.
To the Sasquatch carefully carrying Seraphine, once again blindfolded, through the woods. Dawn breaks as she is set gently at the edge of her village. In a final act of what Seraphine perceived as love, the Sasquatch released her, returning her to her people. Weak but relieved, Seraphine stumbled home, greeted with shock and joy by her family. Cut to Seraphine in labor, her family gathered anxiously around her. That very night, Seraphine gave birth to a child, a hybrid of human and Sasquatch. The infant lived for only a few hours, a fleeting presence that left more questions than answers. Of Seraphine holding the lifeless baby, her face etched with grief. Seraphine's legacy. The screen fades to black and white photographs of Seraphine long in her later years, her weathered face reflecting decades of hardship. Decades later, Seraphine recounted her tale to J.W. Burns, a schoolteacher and journalist fascinated by Sasquatch lore. Burns recorded her story, sharing it with the world. Seraphine passed away shortly after, leaving behind a legacy of mystery and speculation.
So I took a little nibble of that skunk cabbage. Now my throat's kind of I'm glad I just ate that tiny bit just to test it, but my throat's kind of tingling and stuff like that.
Yeah, I might.
And Sky Lee mentioned what?
Oh, there's some licorice root. Fern licorice?
Is licorice root good for what?
It's like, it's throat medicine. We use it when we're getting sick and when you feel like a sore throat coming on. Making tea out of this or even just chewing on it tastes like licorice with like a bitter.
I need some.
Yeah, just try.
How much? How much should I bite? An inch?
Sure.
And I just chew on it?
But don't like, just don't swallow it. Just chew a
Do I
little
swallow
bit.
the juices?
Just
Or
suck,
spit the juices?
Suck the juices out of it. And then
And swallow them? Because I'm
Yeah.
getting lots of juices right now. What do I do?
you swallow the juices. I got you a nice long root here.
I don't think I need any more, do I?
Okay, well, we'll
But we
just
can
save
save
it
it
just
for
in
later.
case. But that's called fern. Fern root, fern licorice root.
I wish I was using your camera, but...
licorice root.
So this is my other licorice root. Thanks, Sky Lee. Can we see any Sasquatch through this camera? Would it work? Ah, my
Yep,
throat is
it gets bitter.
tingly.
If you chew it too long, it gets really bitter. You just chew it a little bit.
This is a cool little patch of forest. See any bear tracks? I guess I could make a video with this, but I don't know. Yeah, I probably won't. I'm just kind of testing this out. This is like an iPhone. I think it's a 7 or not very good quality.
I'll get rid of the bitter aftertaste.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Better than a evil Monster energy drink. Did you know the Monster? Come look, the logo. You ever see the logo? This is 111, and a lot of people have linked it to like some. I drink it.
Some, all the fungi and
If only this was your phone. This is a piece of crap. Yeah.
To modern-day researchers and cryptozoologists debating her story. Seraphine's account is one of the most compelling yet controversial pieces of Sasquatch lore. Was it a tale of survival, love, or something else entirely? Her story blurs the lines between myth and reality.
Right now we are heading to a town called Port Douglas, and this native community here is supposedly where Seraphine Long is from. If you're not aware of who Seraphine Long is, she is the indigenous woman that was kidnapped. She was 15 years old when she was kidnapped. The Sasquatch. She was out berry picking. The Sasquatch grabbed her, rubbed some pitch in her eyes, and threw her over his shoulder and carried her off into the mountains. We're heading to Port Douglas now, and I may question some people in the town to see if anybody, just to verify the whole thing too, just to ask someone and verify it, make sure that everything's legit. A lot of people's done videos on Seraphine Long, but it'd be nice. I've never seen anybody go into the town and actually question someone and actually verify that this is all true. So we're gonna go try to do that right now. We just entered the town. It's a little bit too early. It's like 7:45. There wasn't a soul around, so we're gonna go head out bear hunting for a while, and then we gotta come back this way to go pack up our camp and everything. We gotta leave our campsite today. We should probably leave this area at least by like lunchtime. The old camp store at the hot springs. This has also been abandoned. Beautiful log cabin. It's kind of a shame they let these beautiful places just get run down like this, but what are you gonna do? Try the door handle.
Seraphine Long's tale remains a haunting chapter in the legend of the Sasquatch, a story of abduction, survival, and tragedy that lingers in the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest. Whether you believe or not, the mountain keeps its secrets, and the fires of the Sasquatch may still burn in the shadows,